I've, I've got Heidi here. Heidi is a member of the Holistic Health Circle. Good morning.
Hello.
I wanted to record this for you because lots of you have joined the challenge this week. You've seen those reviews from clients who are loving it, but it's so nice to see a real woman behind the name, Heidi, who I've mentioned a few times this week. First of all, Sarah and I would like to say a big thank you for your support. We always love having you live. And I feel like you agreed to this interview quite easily because Heidi's been working with us for a year. She's been in the Holistic Health Circle just over a year, haven't you, Heidi?
Yes. Yeah.
And Heidi also worked with me as well on a 12-week course that I run, so a nutrition course, which is called the Exalted to Energize Method. And I tried to get a testimonial from you after that 12 weeks, and you were a bit reluctant to go on camera. Like, to be fair, like most women are, right? Don't really want to look at myself on camera. But since then and now, those 4-ish months, maybe 5 months, you've had so much more growth that I just feel like this was a much easier yes for you this time. Was that right? Or is that just how I'm seeing it?
Yes, I guess so. Yes. No, I think you're right. Yeah.
So do you feel like you've had a lot of growth in the last 4 or 5 months? I mean, we can all see it, but would you agree?
I would, yeah. I'm just having to work on the consistency, but yeah, generally speaking, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people in this group may not have seen your first interview, so don't know anything about you. So tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yes, I'm a stay-at-home mum of 2 boys. I was ex-teacher now. So I managed to give that up 5 years ago, thankfully. And yeah, just been working on myself since then.
Yes. And so what made you join Holistic Health Circle about a year ago? Do you remember?
I do. Well, we'd obviously had the lockdown and we had the summer of having the children home and homeschooling, and everything was just getting a bit too much. It was on top of me trying to juggle the house and the children. And yeah, it was just a bit overwhelming, to be fair. So I thought it would be a good idea to try and take control back.
Yeah. And was it like specific, like, was there something specific, like you wanted your health to be better, or you wanted to feel less stressed, or you wanted to improve your anxiety, or was it like, what was it specifically, or was it just
I think it was a combination of all of it. I knew I was overweight, so I knew I had to tackle that, and that had been a long-term problem, as well as just the anxiety and the whole overwhelm. It was literally a whole mishmash of everything. So I knew I wasn't being myself, and I knew I wasn't being true to myself, so it was time to make those changes.
Yeah, and you know, this group, we often aim it at those women that are suffering with the symptoms of anxiety. And I remember you saying the last time that we chatted that you'd suffered panic attacks when you was at school, or a panic attack, and you'd been really stressed out. So you definitely kind of had that history before. You know what that feels like.
Yeah, absolutely, because I'd had quite a lot of time off work, and I'd had occupational therapy and trying to overcome the anxiety issues I'd had with teaching and all the stresses that comes with that. So yeah, I definitely had that history, and that can creep back in. It's very easy when you get overwhelmed for those feelings to come back.
Yeah, and those tendencies. And do you think the habits as well?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's so easy to slip back into them. I guess your brain kind of falls back into those so easily, but you know, doing this Holistic Health Circle, I'm using different tools now. So it might still creep back in, but I get to a point where I think, oh yes, I know I can use the breath work, that will help me. I can use this, I can take time out, and just implementing all of that can really, really help.
If you think back to how you was feeling like way back then, do you think that you would have believed or thought it was possible for you to feel how you're laughing already?
Not in the slightest. I never ever believed it'd be possible. I just thought, oh well, that's me, that's life. And you just go on that roller coaster, don't you? You go on the journey and life takes you wherever, but I'd rather be in control of my life rather than my life control me.
So if you knew someone who was really suffering with symptoms of anxiety now, and they wanted to change it, they didn't really believe they could, what would you say, what's like the number one thing that you've done? Is it just like growing your mindset? Is it one of the particular techniques? What's like one piece of advice that you could give?
It's such a mixture of so many different things. It's hard to pick one thing. I have had to change my mindset for sure.
Yeah.
That is a big thing. But actually, I think it's about taking that step back and taking the time for me. And that's where I never used to do that, because I'd always feel really guilty. So I didn't want to say, well, actually, as you know, I love my cacao, so I'll sit and I'll take my time to do that, or I'll go for a walk, or I'll sit in the garden and listen to music, because I know that that's what's going to make me better, so that I can actually do all the things I need to do. Whereas before I would have just ploughed on and ploughed on and ploughed on without giving myself that time. But I don't feel guilty for that now. I need to sit back because I know it's what I need to do.
Oh, that's amazing. But how do you give yourself permission in the first place? Like, what's the first step to allowing yourself, or is it just working through the discomfort of someone told me that it's good, so I'm going to try it?
Is that, yeah, because I would never give myself permission. I think it's actually you and Sarah who talk a lot about permission and agreeing, you know, you need to give yourself this time, you need to give yourself permission, not feel guilty for it. But I took it on board and was going, okay, I'll give that a go. And yeah, once you start, it's like, yeah, you're right, so right, and you do need to take that time. But yeah, to begin with, it was tricky, but you just have to go with it.
So a year later, how much time are we talking? And I think it's different for everyone. Like, if you had a really busy job, you might only be able to snatch moments of time, and that might be enough for you. Obviously, you've got, I guess, the luxury and the choice of being at home now. So perhaps you can create a little bit more time. But what's the kind of like regular things that you do every day? So we know you'd have your cacao, which is, would you say that's instead of coffee? That's how I sort of describe it.
I don't have coffee and I don't have normal tea. I'd have the odd decaf tea, very rarely, but usually it's water, herbal teas, or cacao. That's literally all I drink.
Brilliant. So you have that time where you have this kind of ceremonial drink. What else do you do? And is it on a daily basis, every other day, a few times a week?
Cacao is every day without fail. I need to have my cacao, and as you know, I've got my good stash of cacao ready. So yeah, it's cacao all the way. And also, because I do this intermittent fasting, I tend to start my day on an empty stomach with cacao, and that just seems to really set me up for the day. Even though that doesn't start till like midday-ish really, but that's, for me, works. And then I just make sure I spend time with the crystals. I do a lot of crystal healing.
Oh, lovely.
I've got to do my crystal healing, and strangely, I think it was Monday, we were so busy, different things were going on, and I completely skipped doing my crystal healing. And it wasn't until the evening I said to my husband, I know why I feel strange. I'd felt completely out of sorts the whole day, and I hadn't done it. That was completely the reason why. I could just feel that I hadn't grounded myself for that day.
Yeah, okay. So like the energetics, you think that it changes or you feel that it changes your energetics?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. And then, so what else do you do? Like, you mentioned breath work. I know that you've definitely done some yoga before, and I think you said recently you need to get back into it because you've had an operation, so you took a bit of a break. So what's like the other things that you do each week which are like, I must do this? So you do crystals, you do your
crystals. I do the crystals every day. I pull moon cards and angel cards every other day. And really, it's just making sure I take time for myself. That's the biggest things, really.
Yeah. So it's actually not a huge time commitment, and they sound like all things that you really enjoy.
Absolutely. I love doing all those things, and I really miss them. If something has cropped up and I just can't do it, I really do miss doing them. And it just, as I said, I use the word grounding. It just seems to ground me. And I think that's the biggest thing. Otherwise, I'm all a bit scatty. and I can get scatty quite easily and not be focused on what I'm meant to be doing. Whereas once I have done all those things, I'm ready for the day.
So you found what works for you, you're enjoying it, so you're sticking to it. That's amazing. Tell us a little bit about this story about bumping into your uncle, because this story is, I love this story, it's so funny. Well, how have you bumped into your uncle recently?
It was really strange because he just works in a shop down the road from me. So I literally popped in to get a few supplies, and I asked him, I even spoke to him, I said, oh, do you mind, could you just tell me where such and such is? And he went, oh yeah, sure, it's over there. And sort of guided me and just walked off. And I was like, oh, that's really strange. And it wasn't until afterwards I kind of hung about and caught him and tapped him on the shoulder, said, oh, hi, how are you doing? And spoke about my family. And he was kind of looking at me really strangely. And then eventually the penny dropped because of who I was talking about. And he went, oh, it's you. And I was like, yes. He was like, oh, I didn't recognize you. It was really bizarre. But, it's not someone I see all the time, but I still kind of expected him to recognize me.
Yes. And why does he not recognize you? Why do you look different?
Well, I do look considerably different. I've managed to lose nearly 2.5 stone actually.
Wow.
In the past, well, I've been up and down on a roller coaster for about a year.
Yeah.
But, since working with you on the Exhausted to Energized method, up until now I've been working really hard on losing the weight. So it's taken me 4 or 5 months to properly get to where I want to be.
That's a relatively small amount of time for that much weight, isn't it?
It is, but I think once I got into it, it just seems so natural. And using the recipes which, you know, you've passed down to me, and doing my intermittent fasting, and I think, to be honest, just being calmer has really, really helped. And when you've talked about, you know, the whole cortisol levels and everything else, if those are really high, you're naturally going to retain fat as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to be stressed, which isn't going to help you lose weight. Whereas I'm not stressed, I'm calm and just relaxed in life and doing the things I want to do. So I think that it's naturally fallen off.
Yeah, so we don't talk about weight loss too much, just because there's so many unhealthy habits with weight loss.
Yes.
We don't want to perpetuate that cycle.
No.
But it is a goal for many women, as we know, and we want to champion people to do it in a really, really healthy way. So it's not one of the main goals of our membership, but getting healthier is, and a natural side effect of getting healthier and looking after yourself and reducing your stress. Because like you say, if you're really stressed all the time, the body's going to hold on to fat because you're in that fight or flight mode. You're not actually, your body's not worried about losing weight, it's worried about surviving.
Yeah.
So it's so good to hear that you've done that in such a natural way, and that you can hear that you sound healthy about it, like you've got a good mindset about it.
Yeah, because I'm not, you know, I'm not approaching it in any unhealthy way. I'm just going by advice which you've given me through the nutrition side of everything, taking that on board, and I don't feel hungry. I just feel calm, happy. Whereas before I would have been looking for food all the time. It would have been my life. My life revolved around food. Yeah. When is the next meal? When is the next snack? Oh, let's just have another snack before the next snack, you know, all of those things. But because I feel calm, I don't look to food. I don't need it. It's not something I have to think about all the time. I have my healthy meals and I know what I enjoy and I know what works for me, and that's really important.
Sounds so simple when you say
it. Sounds simple. Honestly, a year ago, I would never have even believed it would be possible whatsoever. I would never have thought I wouldn't be thinking about food. And here I am. You know, I'm just enjoying life and it's all good.
So how did you do that then? Do you think it's the steps that you took before, as in getting a little bit happier, slowing down, like with the cacao, with the crystals, with the cards? So it's not necessarily the tools that you're using, but just that you found things that you enjoy, and so your energy is going there and your focus is going there. Is that what it is, you think?
I think you could be right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't really know what to say. It's such a mixture of so many different things, but it's lots of little things. And like you said, it's not things which take, oh, I've got to spend an hour at the gym. It's not like that. It's little snippets of time. And even with the crystals, if I want to, and sometimes I do, I'll do an hour of it because I'm in the moment and I'm meditating and I'm calm and I'm focused, and that is beautiful and brilliant and I love it. But sometimes I might just do 5-10 minutes and then the kids need me, but it's fine because I've done that time, and it doesn't have to be something that takes a long, long time.
Okay, so with the Holistic Health Circle, there's 5 holistic tools, as we know. What are your favourite one or ones?
Breathwork for sure. I seem to find myself slip naturally into breathwork now. So I do the breathwork every day to start my day off. However, if things are stressful and crop up, I seem to find myself just naturally breathing. It just calms me straight down. And even when the children are upset, you know, if Jamie gets upset, you know, I'll hold him really tight, I'll hold him really close, and I should do the breathing. But that kind of naturally falls into his breathing as well, and he kind of goes with me. Even if he's not doing the breath work as such, I'm kind of calming him down with my methods.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we do when our kids are babies, right? They say that's the skin to skin, and then they breathe rhythmically with you, so we can do it when they're older as well.
Absolutely.
I love using it like that.
Well, he's nearly 5 as well, so but I still do it. It has a really beneficial effect for both of us. So yeah, breath work for sure. The yoga, that I need to get back into. But yeah, I was doing yoga about 4 or 5 times a week, maybe even 6 times a week prior to my op. So again, that was the me time. It was in the evening, children were in bed, husband was still at work, and it was just that me time, half an hour, just calm.
Brilliant. What time did you do it? Just in case other mums are watching this and going, how do you fit that in? Did you put your children to bed and then had you eaten before that? Tell us a little bit how you squeeze that in.
To be fair, I mean, we'd eat reasonably early-ish anyway. We'd be eating about 6 o'clock. So then by the time I had dealt with the children, I probably wasn't doing it till about 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But
So
then
about
to be
half
fair,
an
that was quite calming before then going to bed.
hour.
So that's how I could fit it in.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had done it earlier, I wouldn't have found it quite as relaxing with the children running around, or if I tried to do it first thing in the morning, I'm still not quite awake enough. I don't feel that works for me, but that might work for others.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so the evenings for me are definitely better. And it's that
Yeah.
calm. I put candles on, and my essential oil diffusers. I haven't even mentioned essential oils. I use those a lot as well.
Yeah, so this is like we can visualize it now. It's like life is sounding calm, right?
Yes.
It sounds beautiful. And Heidi, I'm waiting for you to get to moon ceremonies, because I know that you come along to all of them and you're such a fan. So tell us about the moon ceremonies, and like, did you know about that before, and what has it brought to your life?
I knew absolutely nothing about moon ceremonies at all until I joined the Holistic Health Circle. So I came into the first one probably October last year, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting. I sat back, I didn't have my video on, I just listened in. And yeah, it just took me by surprise as to how amazing and how powerful it is. And as the time's gone on, the more and more I've done, the more beneficial it is. I write my forgiveness list that I burn. I mean, everybody thinks I'm cuckoo in my house.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go, mum's off on one again. But yeah, I'm up in the garden burning all my lists and having gratitude. And, I don't know, I just love it. I love the whole moon.
And so people are going to think you're a bit mad. Maybe people might go, you're a bit of a witch, or you're a bit cuckoo or woo-woo.
I don't care.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. So how do you overcome that? Because what if someone's worried that their husband's going to think they're weird? Is that just it? You've got to the point where you're like, I don't care.
I genuinely don't really care. I just go, yeah, whatever. I'll post whatever on Facebook. Yeah, here I am. I'm doing all my stuff, and people are like, oh, here we go, she's off again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I quite freely talk about it to people and let them pick and choose however they feel about it.
Exactly. Have you had anything negative come up around it?
I've not had anything negative. Only people going, oh, okay, whatever floats your boat, kind of passing, as opposed to, so nothing negative whatsoever.
Yes.
But just like, oh, okay, then that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we can just see that your confidence has increased so much over the past year. From even what you said, like, come to the first moon ceremony, don't have your camera on, just watch and to fully turning up with your camera on. And you said you had a couple of nerves before, which is normal. I think when we have nerves, it means that we care about something, which is really lovely.
Yes.
We don't get complacent, but your confidence has increased so much. Have you noticed that, or have others noticed that in you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, others have noticed. I'm definitely noticing too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Just do whatever I want.
Yay, I love that. Could you tell us a little bit about the community? You're quite active in the Facebook group. You're very supportive of others. Have you found that beneficial?
Oh, definitely. Yes. I mean, you and Sarah are absolutely amazing, but all the women in the group, they're equally amazing. I mean, there's so many wonderful people out there. I mean, they just make me just go, oh, they're just so lovely. And yeah, they're just amazing.
Oh, you make me feel a bit emotional.
It's true, they are brilliant. Everybody is.
Oh. So last night I ran a training where I was talking about some of the common blocks, like time and money, and I actually watched our old interview back to remind myself.
Oh, okay.
And you said, and I quote, I used to believe that I had no time. Yeah. And actually, not a lot has changed in your life. I know your son has very recently started school, but you've been making these changes for a year. So nothing else has really changed in your life. Really, it's just your belief, your mindset that has changed.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So when you was doing the yoga and you come to moon ceremony, how have you created that time? Do you put it on a diary? Do you remember things in your head? Like, how do you prioritize? How do you not let life get too busy that it just overtakes and you just forget everything that you want to do to look after yourself?
To be fair, it's because I want to do it. So it's not actually, I don't write it down very. I mean, yes, I've got my moonology diary, which I will put in all the dates from our timetable each month. Yeah. But to be fair, it's because I want to do it. So I don't need to write it down. I just know, oh yeah, I'm going to do this today, and I'm like a cow. I don't need to write that down. No. I never need to write that down. So yeah, to be fair, I don't really write it down. I just know what I want to do, and because I'm so focused on what I want to do now, it just happens.
Oh, I love that. And if anyone hasn't had that feeling before, because maybe you've never wanted to go to the gym or wanted to eat the diet food,
Yeah.
I bet we don't have to write in our diary to remember to eat chocolate. I always say chocolate because I love chocolate. We don't have to write it in our diary, yet we remember somehow. So I think this is a really good point, Heidi, of I just want to do it, and we do remember to do the things that we want to do. So did you have that in the past? Did you have things that you really wanted to do for yourself in the past, or is this like, the first time you're experiencing it?
I did want to do things, but I was never consistent, and I was never a sticker at anything.
Why though? What's the difference?
It's the calm mindset thing again, I think. That's what it is. And because I'm focused on what I want to do, I think before I would have been juggling so many different things, and I had lists. I even had lists labeling which lists I had.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? That it was that extreme with the whole teaching. I've got to do this, 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 and this, and I've got to do this. It was just list after list. I mean, I was even known as list woman even at school. I was list woman, but I don't really write very many lists anymore.
But that was, so that you're sort of compared not when you're not working to when you was working, but that was 5 years ago. So what about the 4 years in between? What's the difference now between you being consistent with things if you wasn't before, like those 4 years in between?
I think I did write a lot of lists like 3 years ago. I was still writing lists and housework lists, and you write dishes on the list even though you're going to do them anyway, and you tick them to make you feel good, all those kind of things. But I didn't necessarily do the things I wanted to do because I would have been juggling newborn and juggling toddler years and all those kind of things.
Yes.
So I suppose all those things took a back seat, to be fair. Whereas now that Jamie is older, now he is at school, it is easier to say, well, this is me. I do this, this, and this for me now. So I think it's because the children are older.
I think that's a fair point, actually. I think when your kids are really young in that toddler stage, that it is really hard. I don't believe now, knowing what I know now, and I'm sure that you'll agree, I don't think it's impossible. And you could tag team with a partner, or if you haven't got a partner, maybe a mum, or you could create some time when they're in bed, like if you really, really want to.
Yeah.
But you are a bit in the thick of it then, aren't you, when your kids are really young? Yeah.
Quite often the first thing you really want to do if you have any time is to sleep.
Yes. Yeah,
during those stages, like I've got an hour, let's sleep. It's that catching up time, isn't it? Whereas now, he's sleeping through the night, or that's all fine. So now it is a case of I've got that time, so I'm going to use it for me.
Yeah, so late preschool years or early school years for you feel have been more manageable, and I would agree with that in my personal experience as well. All right, so anything else that you would like to say, like what would you say about the Holistic Health Circle just in general? Like, how has it been for you in the past year?
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, the community to start with, that's fabulous. Everybody's wonderful, everybody supports each other. You build good friendship, good bonds within the circle. But also it's all the resources as well. We've got so many resources that we can go to. We've got all the breathwork, we've got all the moon ceremonies that you can catch up on replay as well. We've got all the nutrition, all the yoga, there's so many resources that we can use and dip into, and just watch at our own leisure when we've got the time to do that. And it is important to get in there and glean all that information, and there's a lot there, but to pick and mix what matches for you. Some people might be really into the nutrition and really want to focus on that, which is brilliant. So it's all there. Other people might need to do the movement and go straight for the yoga, so you can mix and match whatever's going to benefit you. And as you were saying yesterday, I think it was about taking one thing and not just, because yes, there's amazing resources and there's so many, but not to be overwhelmed by that either, and just to take one thing at a time and say, right, I'm going to change this. But everything's there for you for when you need it. Yeah.
So when you first started, just so we can like get from a member what they started with, what was like the ones that you first started with?
It was the breathwork and the moon ceremonies for me. That was the first things I was looking at. Then I moved into the nutrition with you. So I've gone back into looking at nutrition. And of course, the seasonal nutritions, I do those every time. They're absolutely brilliant. But yeah, and then I've started going, looking more into the higher awareness sessions. The crystals, that was brilliant. And the session Poppy with the Reiki just amazing. And of course, I've got my Reiki course coming up at the end of November.
I know. I was thinking of you yesterday when we was talking about personal development and investing in yourself.
Mhm.
I was thinking about you and some other members as well who've booked courses for themselves, and specifically you booking the Reiki course. I mean, it's just really, really exciting, isn't it?
It's amazing. I can't wait. I mean, Poppy had me in tears, bless her. I was just, and you just know you have that calling. You go, yes, this is what I need to be doing. And
Your
it was
soul
just amazing.
felt that,
It
your
really
heart.
was. Absolutely.
Heidi, thank you so much for sharing this with our community, for being such a support inside the circle itself, and yeah, just for being you. And it's amazing watching your growth. Sarah and I
Thank
enjoy
you.
that
It's been a
every day.
pleasure. Yeah, thank
All
you.
right, we'll see you
For all your
soon.
support, and and everybody else's support, and you're all amazing. So thank you.
Oh, such a pleasure. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.